Going to Texas, she has had the opportunity, the invitation is there to go on the Joe Rogan podcast, which Trump will do. Her campaign saying she's not going to do that now. It didn't work in the schedule. Does that tell you that they didn't prioritize it? And should they have, given he's got 32 million listeners?
No, I think she's going to where she feels comfortable, where her audience, where her voters are, where she wants to run up the vote, and where she thinks she would get a fair interview. I don't think she thinks she would get a fair interview on Joe Rogan. I mean, I've listened and watched some of the Joe Rogan interviews before. He's, spewed a lot of conspiracy theories. He's had on some people who have, some fringe beliefs. I think Donald Trump will feel very comfortable there, right? He goes on some of these podcasts that have, I'm not saying Joe Rogan is this, but some white supremacist views, some very odd, weird incel, pro-male Christian right nationalist views. Joe Rogan is a guy who had very skeptical COVID views. He has, some other outside the mainstream views. So I don't think it's a good place for her to go. I think she's doing things that appeal to her voters, swing voters, middle-class suburban women voters, and she's going to run up the vote total there. And I think that's how she wins this election.
And Denise, the power of the podcast, is there an opportunity here with Donald Trump to win over voters, or is he going into a safe space with Rogan?
It's definitely a safer space for, even though Joe Rogan has gone after Donald Trump and both Harris and Trump. Like, look, Joe Rogan has never been accused of being a conservative. What he is an independent who supported really RFK more than anyone else. And so I think that Donald Trump is seeing an opportunity to speak to voters that may not like him or maybe aren't aligned with him on all the policy issues, but an opportunity to really expand his base and capture those RFK voters that Rogan seemed to be behind. At the end of the day, this election is about majoring in the majors. And I said this at the beginning, and I'm going to say it at the end. Every time Harris talks about an issue that only has 14% of voters focused on in regards to whether or not that determines who they'll vote for, which is abortion, every time she focuses on issues other than those top three issues that she is in double-digit deficits in regards to approval ratings on, she loses. And, we'll see what happens in the end. Anything can happen. Look, we've all been in politics long enough to know that anything can happen. But because I don't live in the Beltway, because I'm outside in the real world, I'm talking to people who actually care about issues that affect their livelihood. With 67% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, the issues that matter most are the ones that Donald Trump is talking about. And that's why he's going to get over the finish line, I think, in first place.
Denise and Jonathan, thanks for joining us on this Friday. Enjoy the weekend. See you next time.
Thanks so much, Marnie.